We're back.
Happy Monday.
We're here. We're in the same country, on the same continent, in the same time zone.
How's that possible?
Flight makes it possible.
Andrew, it's not just us.
It's not just us.
We have friends with us, and by friends I mean a friend.
Ow, he just called you fat.
What's up, guys?
You gotta lean.
Well, I mean,
I gotta lean in to be in this shot now.
I guess Frank is here. He's
man.
He's live. He's in person. He's sitting in what used to be Dylan's seat.
Well, Dylan was on the old blue couch, which
Dylan
we had to throw away
Which we need to bring the blue couch back.
because the new
That's
couch
not comfortable.
It's the old Dylan cam.
Yes, it's the old Dylan cam. Only it's Tim's new iPhone, but still, it's working. We're doing it. We're doing all the things. We're talking about all the stuff, Tim, because yesterday was Sunday.
And this is the morning after.
Welcome to the Morning After Ministry Show, a caffeine-fueled look back on the week and ministry that was.
Andy, we are here. I mean, I haven't gone anywhere. Frank he's been here for a bit now.
I'm just glad I wasn't replaced. I was nervous the minute that we stopped recording together in person last time. You're like, hey, Frank, let's you and I go on a bro trip across the country.
He's right here with us.
And I've put a lot of work into this friendship, Tim, and I will not be replaced by a younger, more attractive model.
Don't even act like I haven't tried to hire you before.
Yeah, but I tried to hire you that one time. Remember that?
I do remember that.
We had a whole
We had a plan
cooked up. It was a
very good plan. It was in case things went south.
It was almost like a sandcastle crumbled. But it wasn't necessary. So now you've got a new buddy working with you every day.
Well, I mean,
And,
he hasn't officially started
not
yet.
Not yet.
As of January 1, Frank will be, as you know, on staff at Lakeview Church. We're excited. The staff is very excited. They're like, can we? They've already wanted to include you on the group chat. I'm like, give it some time. Like, I'm like, if Frank wants to be on we have a staff group chat that goes every day. I just don't know if you're ready for that level yet.
I had a 15-minute conversation with Sarah, the worship leader.
Oh, yeah.
About like how she chooses songs and service planning.
Oh,
like,
she told me. She's stoked.
We were like jump roping into like having a full-blown conversation. We're like, you have to go sing and I have to leave. So
she's like, Tim, can we all meet in a couple of weeks, like, and talk like song selection and what that's going to look like? I'm like, absolutely, because like Frank wants to know how I'm choosing songs. And
Sarah's husband was a good buddy of mine in college at CCC.
what happened? Did you guys like break up?
There was a big fallout.
There's a story there. It wasn't so much me. It's we were in this improv group that listen.
First off, Clearwater had an improv group?
No, it wasn't a Clearwater improv, but it was like being funny on purpose is the worst and hardest thing ever.
For sure.
Like being it's like that Netflix clip that was going around. Like you weren't that funny. The comedians at the funeral of the pastor.
Yeah.
It's like being a funny pastor, super easy. Being funny on purpose, sweat-inducing, horrible. So we were with this improv group and we had toured a bit. And
we had toured a bit.
We did.
All the way down to Sarasota?
No. Well, yes, but Malone College in Ohio was a regular gig for us, and we did these things. And then
how many retirement homes did you visit?
I hate you so much. But there were then there were
Sun City Center.
A group that was like 5 became 2 of us, and then Matt was in a lot of classes with my buddy Tim. I don't think I ever actually had a class with Tim, not this Tim, another Tim. And so then we did a couple things together. And then at that point, I was like, listen, I'm graduating. They weren't quite graduating yet. I was getting married. I was like, I can't be doing this anymore. And then the group kind of fell away.
Yeah.
But he was at my wedding. We're homies.
And now he's doing video announcements for
Lakeview.
City Lights Church says, welcome back, Andrew. Your next trip should be to the Great Northeast. In fact, it should be to
Scranton, the Electric City.
The Electric City. Hey, if you're in the Scranton, PA area,
I've got a trip to New York scheduled in June, and Jim Halpert has taught me that you can get to New York City in like 2 hours, or you can get to Scranton in like 2 hours from New York.
I mean, you do like visiting other churches.
I do like visiting other churches. I'm not going to be gone on a Sunday for that trip. That is the musical The Last 5 Years is opening on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
With Nick Jonas playing one of the leads.
If Nick Jonas is in town, City Lights won't even be having church.
That's true.
Anytime there's a major celebrity,
an A-list singer there, they just
you're gonna want to check the City Lights website and socials for when they do and don't have church.
The Scranton concert venues, because sometimes John Legend shows up and they cancel church.
If there's a big concert in town, City Lights will not be having church.
But I'm gonna be in New York with my wife in June, but also we're not going to be there for a Sunday.
You could still swing by and say hello.
I could swing by.
Or meet halfway, wherever halfway is.
That's true. Yeah.
Halfway is probably still the outskirts of New York City. Like distance, not distance. Yeah.
Riley, if you were down here,
Riley, we're hitting the bees on McMullen Booth Monday Burger Day.
it's what we do each and every Monday. If you're in the area and you show up at Applebee's, Andrew will buy your lunch.
I mean, our waiter might be a guy named Andrew, but we'll see.
All right, Andy, you're back.
I'm back.
You preached on Sunday.
I did.
Were you prepped and ready? Because you came back on a holiday week, which is tough. It's a weird week for all of us anyways.
Thanksgiving. It was weird.
Were you prepped and ready, or did you just do some Saturday
Advent,
prep?
And it was kind of, hey, listen, we've tried to do like the cool and interesting new take on Christmas. We're not doing that this year.
Sure.
We are doing Luke and Matthew, and that is all the Christmas. You're just putting the camera giant on Frank's face.
He never knows.
He looks good.
He can't see the same screen.
He looks great.
So what?
So we were.
Did you kick off the Advent
so
series?
It was Advent. So it was God's faithfulness is in His time, not ours. But God blesses the faithfulness of His people. We were doing the announcement of John the Baptist's birth, and then next week we'll be in Matthew chapter 1, going through the genealogy of Jesus and
Love it.
talking about how God uses broken stories for His glory. Ooh, that wasn't supposed to rhyme, but it did.
You might want to write that down.
I might be a Southern Baptist again.
That was sticky.
That was really good.
All right, so you've kicked off all things Advent. Walk us through your Advent Sunday, because do you guys still light the candle?
Yeah.
Do you have a family read something?
Yeah, so we have welcome announcements. I don't know if you've ever seen our announcements. There's a girl in our church. She is third grade, fourth grade. She skipped a grade. She's very smart. She's fourth grade.
Very smart.
But so she's third grade age, skipped a grade, fourth grade. She comes up with the props to do announcements, like our mug.
That's
and,
cool.
We do like a prayer card that we redo every month that has a calendar on it.
I like
and
that.
then we rotate different families and ministries that we're praying for as a church, that everybody has that and is on the same page.
Sure.
So she comes up. So we do the regular welcome and announcements, but then typically the rest of the year, I do a call to worship at that point, which if we're in an epistle, the call to worship will usually be from a psalm, a different type of scripture than what our main text is for the day. And so our call to worship during Advent is the Advent readers. And so the people walking in darkness saw a great light yesterday to start off Advent season. And so we have a family who they've got a son who's a senior this year. So probably his last full Advent season with us. I'm sure he'll come home from college. But so they kicked us off, and then we've got different families for each service. And so that is our call to worship. And then they have a little prayer at the end of the candle lighting and Advent reading, and then the praise team gets going.
So does your Sunday service run a tad bit longer during the Advent season with the extra elements?
Yeah, and yesterday
was communion.
Yesterday was a communion Sunday. We had probably 35 verses that we covered in the text. And so I think...
What was the runtime of the service?
I think we were still done by 11:05, 11:07. It wasn't long.
Not terrible.
So it might have been 5 minutes over. At one point, I looked up during the sermon. I was like, I gotta hurry. But
why would you ever feel like that? You don't have two services.
Because
don't you have the freedom to pretty much just
I was
go as long as
married
you
to our
want?
kids director for a long time. And for the record, we have a new kids director. I don't have a new wife.
Got it. Okay.
But
that makes sense.
That
makes sense.
Always, I know that I'm not the only person at church serving while I'm preaching. And so we have other people. And
so 1 hour is kind of that sweet spot for you.
The being done by 11:05 is kind of the sweet spot. I don't want to ask more of our nursery crew. I don't want our kids person to be done and be like, what do I do for the next 17 minutes to entertain these kids? So, there's a lot of things happening.
We are also in the Advent series for the year.
So where'd you start?
We're going Luke 1 and 2.
Okay.
So the bulk of Luke chapter 1 and obviously the first half of Luke chapter 2. So we kicked it off with Gabriel's announcement to Zechariah and Elizabeth.
We could have shared some notes this week where it probably would have made my life a little bit easier.
We probably could have. I think one of our key takeaways was don't let your problems become so big that you can't see God's power, because Zechariah had this problem of, I'm old. which lends itself well when you're preaching to an older congregation.
I said something about for Bible Times there were probably 38. That got a big laugh because said that she was very old, and when Zechariah says to Gabriel, "How will this be? My wife is really old."
Yeah, I used that line.
I was like, man, it's a good thing he couldn't talk for 9 months. Otherwise, he would have been in big trouble if he actually told his wife how the conversation with the angel went. I don't know that
probably not good.
Yeah, it was. It was actually a blessing that he had to shut up.
Laura says the real reason is the food in the fellowship hall gets cold. So if you don't finish on
true.
time, Andrew,
That's
the food
true.
will not be nearly as good. Frank, you are you're attending church with your wife. You didn't have any preaching responsibilities yesterday. So how was it? You get to just get up,
What
go to
service
church.
did you go to
I went to the second service.
with everybody else?
First of all, I was going to say this. Andrew, I think the perception, the way you talk about Safety Harbor, both on this podcast and the other podcast, is that like everyone is very old and you are young.
I don't talk about that.
You have
He does say that.
Like
you have
that
a
at
He
all.
says that often.
I would say there is an older community, but there are definitely
saying,
people
when-
sub 50.
When I got here, it was a very different church. When I got here, we had 2 kids on a Sunday. I think we averaged 2.5 kids on a Sunday morning. Now we're at 12 or 14, depending on the week. So the church has gotten a lot younger in the past 7 years. But no, we've got a good mix. We still probably have more than, I would say, about 40% of the adults are post-retirement age.
Riley says Frank's really embracing that life of the campus pastor.
This is a campus best life. I want to say a couple things. After 2 weeks of being in your church, I want to give you some flowers, if you will.
Is this going to be a sandwich? It's going to be like
Us
No.
talking,
I got no
it's going to be
negative things.
good, bad,
Yeah.
good.
I got no
He's
negative.
going to sandwich the compliment in there.
I got no negative
with
things.
2 things we need to improve on.
All of my comments for Tim are all critiques. So this is
Great, good, thanks.
I will say that I love that you have the kids during worship, and then there's this like grand moment where all the kids walk out. It's very sweet. It's very it's a sweet thing. I saw the young girl who did the announcements. That was super fun. I even leaned over and was like, "That's super cute." I love that aspect of it.
Also, when she and I see each other on Sunday mornings, it's a race to say, "Hey, I'm glad you got to see me today," instead of a "good to see you."
Great line.
So like
Great line.
It's like whoever sees the other one first, tries to get it out. It's great.
It's a wicked line.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I've been saying that.
Oh yeah, it's
From Wicked.
yeah.
I've been saying that since the '90s because of Dr. Jim Monroe, who's not watching because he's in heaven. But
It's great to see me today.
one of my dad's mentors, whenever I would see him as a kid, he would say, "Hey, glad you got to see me today." And so when you become an old person, you kind of take on all those.
Sure.
And so
That's-
I'm basically that progressive commercial when I see.
Yeah. And I think I've told you this already. You did something really innovative that now seeing it in person makes so much contextual sense. You have these chairs outside of the sanctuary with a TV, and it's probably like 12 chairs for people in the community.
It's exactly 12 chairs.
It's like 12 chairs for people in the community who are, because you're on a main road, literally called Main Street, right?
But no, Main Street's one street over, so we're on 2nd.
Okay.
Just off of Main Street.
But there's like, I don't know, what is that? A flea market?
A farmer's market,
Yeah. So there's people like walking all over outside the church. And then you have
Community
these
yoga
chairs.
starts at the same time as the service.
It's pretty cool. But I think it's so clever. It's like, hey, people are already walking. You might want to watch a sermon, sit down outside. And from that, people have joined your church. And it's brought, it's a form of like soft marketing that I think is it's excellent. And so nothing but props. I really your church is very hospitable. Both times they offered me to stay after for lunch, and I didn't because we already had plans for lunch. But
You missed out.
It was a good
One
time.
of the weeks, my buddy Bundy was cooking. He's from Belize, and it was like full on, like plantains and just all the good stuff.
Yeah.
I had two conversations yesterday. One was with the mom of another senior who her daughter's deciding between a few different schools, and one of them is St. Leo, and she's a soccer player. And she's been offered a spot on the St. Leo team. And so she's like trying to say, like, do I want to keep playing in college? What do I want to do? And her mom's like, Frank is going to be planting a church off, 52, 54, that area. That could be great if she's at St. Leo.
Yeah.
So
That'd be awesome.
how cool is that a mom is like, hey, I've got a church to send my kid to already.
Yeah.
And then I
That would
had
be
another
sweet.
guy come up to me in the fellowship hall after church and say, hey, loved seeing the pictures and stuff of your trip, which was very much for the people in the church. It was great. But he was like, but also, man, you did a great job finding someone to preach for you when you were gone. And I was like, that's
Honestly, that's what you want to
That's
hear.
what you want to hear.
Yeah.
That's
Like
what you want to hear.
You don't want to hear, "Whew, glad you're back."
You're back. Ooh, man.
Because then it's this weird pressure of like, oh, so I can't miss.
I can't leave ever.
Like I'm not allowed to ever miss a Sunday. Like you want to know that, hey, things are okay.
Yeah.
Things are happening. I mean, there's like a human side of you that's like, I hope they still want me, but you want it to be good.
But it was great to have my people excited. Also,
Yeah.
I got here yesterday morning and our little ATEM board decided it didn't want to work. I had to reset a bunch of computer stuff. I'm like, I'm so glad that this is happening now that I'm back.
And not when
because
Frank was
there was
preaching.
not a single tech glitch.
No, it was great.
We were watching last Sunday, like from the train from London to Paris.
That's crazy. You were watching Safety Harbor Community Church.
Yeah.
You're the only person ever who's watched Safety live stream.
Maybe.
But
Maybe not.
But when I was on the train, I was trying to pay attention, but I also just kept thinking of that scene from the first Mission Impossible: red light, green light. In the helicopter in the tunnel.
So that was like 1996.
I love that movie.
As far as service,
It might be older than that.
as far as service at Lakeview, great service. You haven't upgraded the communion elements yet.
Isn't that awful?
It's weird.
What are they doing?
What are we doing? What are we
Frank,
doing?
you might be the voice of reason here because I've been saying that the Jesus Lunchables have to go
Well,
for years.
here's a little tidbit. I don't know if my wife wants you guys to know this.
They bulk bought them.
But Frank, do you remember the conference we went to?
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
I was given a pouch of handmade communion elements that are packaged just like the ones we get, except they're all handmade and delicious. And Stephanie now brings her own communion elements from that pouch that I have, and all my kids have basically the gourmet communion elements.
The premium package.
Premium.
Charcuterie Jesus
right
here in front of you.
I tried it.
Up to Patreon.
It's better than Intinction. Like the taste is so good. They hand make the bread. It
was good.
They
Better
cut
than
it.
Intinction. That should have been the name of the episode.
Could be a T-shirt. Better than Intinction.
Better than Intinction.
But it's hard to beat that bread.
Yeah.
But these pre-packaged elements, it might be worth the extra cost.
See, we do a big Publix loaf and then we cut it up every week. And
That's what we used to do.
Yeah.
Do you've gone back to that method?
yeah, so we don't dip. But so I don't think because we had when I left Faith, they were only using Intinction.
Right.
And so I didn't leave the Faith. The church I was at
When
previously
you
was called
walked
Faith.
away from the faith.
We deconstructed.
And so the church administrator was like, "Hey Andrew, do you want these communion trays?" So they're like the silver plated communion trays.
Sure.
So somewhere in the cabinet back here we have them.
We have those too.
But then we had when coming out of COVID, we have the cross and then the stain
Yep.
on the cross matches like the cabinetry we have in the back.
Oh, yeah.
So someone found these really nice so the same idea of the communion trays with like the little cup holders in them. We have those, but they're wood and they kind of match the woodwork of the beams and the cross and stuff in the church. And so we put bread in the little cup as well.
perfect.
So everybody grabs a cup and a juice. The church I was at in Inverness 2 weeks ago, they gave me wine.
No.
Does your ordination get canceled after that?
They gave me wine at church.
Alcoholic beverage at the church. How would
Almost like
Lakevie's a
Jesus
dry
did it.
campus, so I don't know how that would fly.
I thought Andrew was a dry person. Like,
Andrew's a very dry person.
That's why the one little bit of communion wine and
you got crazy.
He was not the same.
the greatest service I have ever been to. It was very exciting.
Andrew, how do you feel about worship songs that you like Christmas songs specifically that but like maybe the chorus is sung a little differently?
Oof. Frank's might be speaking from experience here.
In general, not a big fan. Like I understand why recording artists need to do it so that they can get their royalties, but I think corporate worship is meant to be sung. So like in general, you want people to be able to sing the song.
Sure.
You don't want people like, oh, that's new and different. And if it's going to be new and different, I almost think you need, hey, during the bridge, hey, you might not know this part. Why don't you just listen the first time we do it so that you're not surprised mid-song.
I think there were some surprised Lakeviewers yesterday because it was a familiar song. And then it was like, wait, that's a tad bit different than what we're used to. Sarah had asked me about it, and I was like, Go for it.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
I think you add the caveat at some point. Hey, we're going to do this song. Why don't you listen to this bridge or whatever?
That's not a bad idea.
Because
she actually sent me the playlist after church yesterday and said, "What are your thoughts on putting this on the socials this week?
I like the idea.
Putting
of
it in the email. Here's
too.
the playlist. Hey, if you're wondering what we're singing all December long here at Lakeview, here's we have 10 songs. Here's the 10 songs we're going to be doing at Lakeview this month. Some of the versions might be a tad different than what you're used to, so you might want to listen in advance.
I think
that's a great idea.
This happened with me even at Safety Harbor in general, where it's like I think I'm starting to get used to the worship songs, the pool of songs that you guys pull from are not songs that I've been experiencing for the last 10 years in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And so I was like trying to wrap my mind around these songs where it's like, I'd never heard this version of the song, or there's some songs I've never heard at all. And it's not this, it's just like, I bet a lot of these songs I just need to like sit in and sing more often so I can get used to it. But even at Safety Harbor, the second week when the guy from Lakeview, Jamie showed up, I was like, oh, these are all bangers. I know all these songs. But the previous week when you had the full band, I was like, I don't know if I know any of these songs. So
Frank doesn't listen to a lot of worship music.
I guess so.
We should have asked him this in the interview process, apparently.
Screamo.
It's a lot of metal.
City Lights says, come to City Lights Church where we have wine every week.
There you go.
And if there's a recording artist in town, extra wine.
Maybe.
To be fair, it's half water, half wine. It's watered down wine.
One of the things that I really liked about the three churches I went to in the Highlands, the singing was like, you know how if you sit back and you like listen,
sure,
you hear like those three ladies that can actually sing around you. This wasn't it. It was like all the dudes just belting it out.
Choir.
That's cool.
And I don't know if it's because of the pub culture or whatever it is.
Did you feel the need to belt?
Oh yeah, but there was no. No. It was men.
Can you give us an example of like what was one of the songs and they were just?
Behold, he comes.
No, we didn't do that
belting.
one. All of them. I mean, it was just a lot.
So was it mostly
singing
hymns?
No, so the three churches that the three evangelical churches I went to, I didn't know any of the songs at Westminster Abbey, but also Westminster Abbey had like 85 total people at their 10 a.m. worship.
It's weird to me.
Like the most famous.
That's weird to me.
Protestant church on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, most famous Protestant church building on the planet.
Sure.
But there were less than 100 worshipers at their main service.
I'm surprised like even like tourists wouldn't just be like, hey, I got to go.
Well, that's what we do. Like, oh, it's £20 for the tour, or you show up for church for free.
Right.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to experience that? You know,
absolutely.
I will sit in the same chairs that someone sat in for the royal wedding. That's cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But that choir was an all-dude choir, and they were, the median age was probably like 52, 53. Now, the Brits look older than we do, but their healthcare is not
nice.
as good that, socialized healthcare, the dental work and the...
What are we talking about?
So they might have all been 47 and not 53, but they were all like professional music, like chamber musicians that were the 8 or 10 men that made up the choir at Westminster, and
you could have joined that.
Incredible! I could not have joined that.
Weren't you in Here Comes Treble?
Really good, but at the evangelical churches I went to, it would be, I think there was 1 or 2 songs in each service that I didn't know. 1 or 2 songs that would be, a Joy FM or K-Love type of worship song that everybody has known in the past 20 years.
Andrew Erica's wondering if you tried to get into the guards to crack a smile.
We only saw a couple of guards. We were in a hurry. I feel like when Melissa got there, we had 5 days, and we were cramming a month-long trip into 5 days. It was we didn't have time to stop. And we did a lot. We did a lot of cool things, and I think both of us were like, that was so great. I'm so glad we did all the things that we did. I wish we had more time to just enjoy. So now it's like looking back, it's like, man, we did that. That was cool.
You spent half your time editing videos every day.
I did not. I used
those videos were great. Steph and I watched them together every night.
I used CapCut. I don't know if you're.
I'm aware. You didn't pay for
TikTok.
You didn't pay for the premium version because at the end it said CapCut.
No, I did. I just didn't always edit well because I would export and then edit after I exported.
Made by CapCut.
And sometimes I couldn't get it, but it was the
videos were great.
The voiceover took longer than the video edits.
Did you script that, or did you use AI for that?
No, it was
off the dome.
It was just me talking like as I was watching the video.
You were just yapping,
and then like, crap, and I have to stop and all right, split, delete, do that again. So the voiceover took longer than putting the videos together every day.
Well, I enjoyed it. I know all of us All of us out there thoroughly enjoyed them.
The number of people at church that are like, thank you for doing that. I was like, okay, this like, I felt kind of silly doing it the first couple days, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to do this now.
You owned it.
It
wasn't silly.
I was like, it was.
We were able to follow along with the trip. I didn't have to watch 1,000 stories every day. I could just once a day. I got to watch Andrew's recap.
You got to watch.
I was wondering, could you keep that going throughout life? Like every day, I'm like, I wonder what Andrew did today.
I asked Melissa if I should.
I was kind of like, I'm fine with that.
She hit me.
Every night, I'd be like, Steph, let's see what Andrew did today, and we would just kind of sit down and
you just snuggle up and say,
yeah,
oh.
it's better than Netflix.
It's shorter than most. Like
Cheaper.
It's cheaper. Yeah.
Coming soon, the life of Andrew Larson
in 90 seconds a day.
I mean, that would blow up. I think people would be thrilled. Which tie you're putting on? Which tie clip you put on?
Oh, Tim, did you see? It's
you haven't
Advent
mentioned
season.
it. I know. I was waiting.
It's Advent season, so
gave
I've
you a little
got
bit of a
Christmas
softball there.
lights,
I'm gonna back it up a little bit. There you go.
I mean, I could throw it to Frank. He's got the camera a little bit closer to him.
That's true. What if we go Frankie? Frank, can you kind of explain what's happening here?
So this is, it looks like Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Am I holding it right side up?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're Christmas lights, and I'm colorblind. Is that green?
Yeah. Green and red.
Yeah.
It's Christmas colors, Frank. What do you think
It's
it
all
is?
gray. I'm a dog. So it looks, it's a cool little clip, and yeah, it's great.
I get to wear it for 4 weeks every year, and I'm pretty excited. Also, I've had this tie for a year, and I haven't worn it because I was saving it to wear during Christmas.
It's good stuff.
I love it.
Tim, you guys did all the Thanksgiving things at Lakeview. You did them big. You did them well.
We did a few Thanksgiving things, including our annual turkey bowl, which I invited everyone to.
I don't remember getting that invite.
I invited all the Florida boys, including Jeff, who said he was going to show up. Jeff, if you're watching this, missed you, buddy.
He's not.
Missed you, buddy. Yeah, we had 3 lined fields, which was awesome. That's the most we've ever done.
It looked great.
We had a ton of guys show up. Not a lot of injuries, which was awesome. I think I went maybe 60-70% all day, just so I could play, have fun. Was not sore afterwards.
You almost need a medic tent at that size of a thing.
There were a couple of uber competitive guys. I will say my competitive nature only came out once. There was a question on the rules, which were read beforehand, and then when it came time to implement said rules, which was the rule of last licks, which I'm not a fan of, but it was a rule.
That means.
It's when you're doing a timed flag football game, last licks means if you got the ball first, the other team is going to get a chance at the end if the other team has the ball.
It's like college football playoff.
It's similar to that.
Yeah.
It was a bizarre rule, but we were playing a team. They had the lead, and then they had the ball, and then the clock ran out, and they're like, all right, we won. They started walking off the field. I said, hang on, guys, you read the rules beforehand. They're like, no, we won. And I was like, hey, Derek, can you come over and read the rules again? So Derek came over. He read the rules, and they're like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, so it looks like we get one more chance. Needless to say, we won the game.
There's nothing funnier than church, like competition like this, because like people who are like the most like tame and chill and sweet, like just rage.
Bree says, Tim, is that your excuse for losing against Aaron? Okay, look, my son was not going 50 or 60%.
There were a couple of pictures I saw of Aaron where there were like veins popping out of his biceps. I was like, dude, you're 13.
He doesn't know he doesn't know how to go half speed on anything. So he was bringing in 3, 4, 5 touchdowns a game at one point. And I'm like, bud, you just go be you.
You've got college athletes out there losing to an 8th grader.
So then every team was like, we got to cover. And so then at one point they were actually in Aaron's face. And he's like, you're 40. Like literally screamed that. I was dying. Aaron's obviously 13, and there were literally 35 and 40-year-olds, and they would like do a dance over Aaron when they'd knock the ball out of his hands.
Oh my goodness.
It was so funny. Aaron got the biggest kick out of it. So yes, Bree, that is my excuse for losing to my son. He's way faster than I am.
I played in a church flag football league for a couple years, and our team, like by the time that we got in, the league had been established. All the good colors were taken, so we were the purple pandas, and we just went all. I wore head to toe Under Armour, including like Under Armour pants, which is not a good look. At one point, I had a guy say,
look great in that.
And then I would like tie dye white boxers to make them purple to wear over the Under Armour pants. And at one point, I had someone say, "Hey, my sister's coming to this game. Could you put the boxers back on?" So we knew we were bad, and we just went for it, and it was super fun. I think the only thing more fun than winning a league like that is knowing everybody else is taking it way more seriously than you are.
That's the best.
And you get to be like the ha ha rah rah fun guys.
City Lights Church says, church softball games are how I pick my leaders. You can easily disqualify elders during softball games.
Yes, you can.
Erica says, Aaron caught a touchdown. Oh, yeah, he did. End zone to end zone touchdown pass. It was glorious. Matt, I love this. Instead of the Truman Show, we're going to be calling it the Larson Show.
It would not be a hit.
A live feed of Andrew Larson.
Listen.
I don't even want to edit it. I just want to know what's going on.
I think
I want to be able to hop onto the live feed at any time and just kind of just check out what Andrew's
see
up
me
to.
scrolling through Facebook, regretting something I ate.
Matt says, church sports bring out the worst in me. Matt, I hear you in this. I've had to learn also to go 50% as well, or I will lose my job. This is the key. So all of you uber competitive pastors out there, I'm telling you, this is the secret.
If you're a competitive pastor, show up at another church's turkey bowl.
That
so
works
you don't
too.
lose your testimony at your own church.
When it's your own church, you need to go about half speed. It keeps your adrenaline low. It keeps the testosterone from, exploding out of your eardrums.
If you're super competitive, go to another church, say you're part of the recovery group.
Yes.
And then just
That's the way to do
curse
it.
and go crazy.
The best was I played against Matt. I think we played like Can Jam or something when he was here for the Practically Pastoring Conference, and we all of a sudden you could just feel the tension rising.
Where you looked at each other like, hey, you're like me.
And I was like, wait a second, and then we just kind of we were like, one more game. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
What Matt said is how you should apply not only for sports but like board games. If you go 100%, you're gonna see the most unredeemed version of me.
Yes.
So let me go into this
Right.
just being as silly and not serious as possible. And if I win, great. If I don't win, I don't feel bad, and everyone wins at that point.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so tough though, especially with something like the Turkey Bowl. We do it once a year, and you want to go all out.
So who won?
It was not my team.
Obviously.
I watched the championship game.
Was it Derek's team?
Derek's team lost in the championship game.
Okay. I didn't
can't remember
see
who the
video.
team-
I saw pictures, and Derek looked like a quarterback who had been playing a lot.
He and his buddies had been practicing. What they told me was actually for 3 months they got together almost weekly to practice. When I say people take this somewhat seriously.
How does that work if you're picking teams?
Well, he knew when it was his turn, he had one or two guys that had to be on his team. So there was still one of those guys available.
Erica said Bruce's team won.
Bruce's team. That's right. Yep. It was good. It was a ton of fun. We had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Then I had a request for some baptisms.
I saw that.
And it was kind of like, hey, when could we do this? And I was like, you know what? The Jags are playing terrible. I'm sick of watching them lose. Can we do it on a Sunday? Can I do something redeeming with my time on a Sunday afternoon instead of just sulking and getting angry? Which, by the way, when Trevor Lawrence got hit, guys, I don't know that I've had that much anger in my heart towards another human being in a long,
or
long
that
time.
many text messages, that many people reaching out to you to make sure that you're okay.
Oh my goodness, my phone was blowing up, and it was mid-baptisms. We had an awesome little baptism ceremony at my parents' pool, which
I thought that was your parents' house.
I said, hey, Dad, can we turn that heater on? Can you get it to 104 by the time I get there?
Mm-hmm.
So they turned it on at 8 a.m., and by the time we got there, it was 104 degrees in the water, which, if you know water temperature, that feels amazing.
Yeah.
That's your hot tub. That's
Tim,
your standard
I
hot
just
tub
sent you a picture. We went to Hollywood Studios because when the boys were like, hey, Mom and Dad, you went to Disneyland Paris last week. You can't say you're busy on Sunday if you were able to do that. And so we're at Disneyland,
right?
Or Disney. We're at Hollywood Studios, and we're watching the Bucks game on my phone. And so
what is happening here?
So that is me and Luke in the green hoodie. We're trying to keep up with the Bucks game, and so it's in overtime.
I love it.
And we're so we've got all the boys glued around my phone at Hollywood Studios.
That's so perfect.
And then when there was a commercial, and we knew we wanted to get one more pass to go on something, and so we're like, okay, we have to get on to Rock and Roller Coaster if we're going to get something else before the park closes tonight. So we're in line for Rockin', and then Carolina fumbles, and we're like, oh, Luke, we got this. So Luke and I are watching the game on my phone.
So much fun.
We're buckling into Rock and Roller Coaster, and the cast member is like, sir, you need to put your phone away. But hang on, we're about to kick a field goal. So the ride was moving when so we're on. I've got this really strong
Still
magnetic clip on my phone, and so I
just clipped onto the seat in front of you to
so
watch.
I'm literally like this. With the the harness on. We hadn't like done like the countdown, so it was like going around the curve before the countdown on Rock and Roller Coaster. And Luke, my wordsmith of a child, said, "Dad, that was an emotional roller coaster on a physical roller coaster."
Wow.
I was very proud of him.
Wow.
That's good.
Matt, I love this. He says, I can't wait to chuck a disc into the lake at Lakeview at the conference when I get angry. I don't have to hide anything while I'm there. Hey, here's our promise for the
That's why I want you to come to the Practically
Pastoring Conference. You don't have to hide.
Vent that anger.
You don't have to hide. You can throw
be
it.
as competitive as you want. You can be an angry competitive person. You can be a cheap shot competitive person.
We're going to be playing disc golf. We're going to be playing can jam. We're going to be doing a few sporting activities.
We will not have a flag football tournament.
We might.
Oh, I hope not.
It's a safe
Why
place.
not?
There might be batting cages.
There may or may not be.
Jeff's going to bring his batting cages.
Batting cages?
The portable batting cages. He's going to break it down.
Frank, what do we got to do? How do we get pastors to the Practically Pastoring Conference?
Special for you all right now, if you're watching Morning After Ministry, if you go to practicallypastoringconference.com and use Turkey20, you'll save $20 on the registration. Go to practicallypastoringconference.com. It's gonna be a safe place where you don't have to hide anything.
Turkey20.
Turkey20.
Turkey20, practicallypastoringconference.com. All three of us will be there. There may or may not be a few surprises that we can't wait to tell you
I
about.
love surprises.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Hey, gentlemen, I'm hungry.
I'm starving.
I think it's time for lunch. I think we've talked about all of the things, the week in ministry that was.
Every Monday we do this.
And we'll do it again next Monday as well. And I'll wear my same Christmas light tie clip.
Can't wait. All right, guys. Have a great week. See you soon.